Lots going on between Israel, the United States, and Iran in the last couple of days right now, but we want to go ahead and break everything down exactly how we got here. We have Robert Kubinec here. He is a professor over at USC in the Department of Political Science to break it all down for us. Thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, it's great to be here to talk about this really complex but important issue.
How really did we get here? I know there's a lot of history between all these countries.
Right, well, I mean, that starts with, in many ways, the Iranian Revolution in 1979, when the Ayatollah Khomeini, not the guy who was just killed, but his predecessor, led a revolution that kicked out the Shah, the leader of Iran, and imprisoned Americans in the embassy. So the embassy hostages were held for, many months. Many of them were executed, and that sort of what led, right, to this really difficult relationship between Iran and the United States. Recently, about a year ago, Israel attacked Iran, so did the United States. We won that, not war, but like military operation. We successfully bombed Iran, destroyed a lot of their military infrastructure, tried to stop their nuclear program. So this is essentially a follow-up attack. And we're exploiting a lot of Iranian vulnerabilities that they can't really stop U.S.-Israeli fighter planes. And so taking advantage of the fact that their military has become sort of inferior to ours and to Israel's, also exploiting the fact that we have these missile shields that can shoot down Iranian ballistic missiles. That makes it possible for these strikes to happen without lots of people dying in Israel or other places.
Now, you also have a personal connection over in this area as well, right?
Yeah, so I used to be a professor until recently at New York University, Abu Dhabi. Abu Dhabi's in the United Arab Emirates, which is right along the coast. They've been hit by many of these rockets. Some of the shrapnel has come through the missile defense and hit both Dubai and Abu Dhabi. The UAE is a US ally, right? So that is why Iran is targeting them. There's US personnel in the UAE. So it's really tough for people there right now. They're all sheltering in place.
I wanted to go ahead and clarify a couple of things. There has been no declaration of war from the United States. Is that correct?
Yes, this has been presented as a military operation, and the whole story of what authority President Trump has is a really complicated question, because essentially the Constitution gives that power to Congress, but US presidents have commonly taken military action on their own, especially airstrikes. So basically all recent US presidents, George Bush, President Obama, and President Trump, and President Biden, have taken sort of unilateral military action. And this is seen as something that's not a war, right? But it does commit the US to fighting, and it can have consequences. So 3 American soldiers died today. Now, where does that stop becoming military action? Where does it become a war? That's difficult, right, to pinpoint where that point is. What Congress can do is they can, under the War Powers Act, they can vote on a resolution that would prevent any of this military action from going forward, but that would require the Senate, the House to meet to vote on that, and then Trump could still veto it. So effectively, President Trump has the ability to pursue this bombing campaign on his own authority, and it doesn't seem like anyone's going to probably stop him, at least in the next few days.
Is there like a time frame that Congress can then intervene? Is it a certain amount of days or anything like that?
There's 60 days under the War Powers Resolution that gives some latitude to the president to engage in military actions. And again, it's sort of this vague, undefined, they're supposed to use it in response to an emergency or something like this. But Congress just hasn't, generally speaking, stopped the executive branch from taking unilateral military action. And there's a lot of reasons why. I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that the president just is the commander-in-chief, and so for Congress to step in and say stop doing this is sort of a really bold confrontation. Right, and so it just hasn't happened very much in American history since that act was passed. I can't think of actually a single time that we've really stopped the military from doing something. Of course, President Trump is going to face pressure of public opinion, and Americans are, of course, really concerned about what's happening in the region. And U.S. allies in the region, Jordan, the UAE, are certainly, very concerned about this situation. So it's not to say President Trump isn't facing pushback.
I know this is still a very fluid situation, but anything that we should be looking at or anything that could possibly have an effect here with us in the U.S.?
Sure. Well, we don't know how Iran is going to retaliate to these strikes. So we killed the supreme leader of Iran, Ali Khamenei. That is an unprecedented level of hostility towards Iran. Iran has vowed retaliation. They've already killed 3 U.S. service members. They may attack more. We don't know where those strikes will be. They may not be in the Middle East. They could be in Europe. They could even be in the United States, although that would be a real escalation probably from Iran. And of course, we have soldiers here, Fort Jackson, and there's many U.S. soldiers deployed overseas. So of course, that all affects the United States because there's many military families right now that have loved ones who are fighting this campaign.
And yeah, absolutely. And of course, we'll be praying for all of our soldiers who are there overseas and also back here at home. Robert, thank you so much for being here. We appreciate your expertise onto this and kind of giving us a little bit of an inside look on exactly really what's going on and how it could theoretically impact us here in the United States. We appreciate you.